Thank you for joining me on my masterclass. Now, today I'm going to be taking a question. Now, this question is from a guy called Wycliffe. Wycliffe is from Kenya. Now, just before I take his question, I just, I wish all African people can bear African names. I'm seeing a guy from Kenya and you're being Wycliffe, and I'm widely traveled in Africa and all over the world basically. And it's only in Africa that we take a lot of joy in bearing these names, these European names. Some of those we bear Arabic names, and then Asian names. Let's bear African names. I've got five names, and all of them, each and every one of my five names are African names. All my children, they've got African names. So Wycliffe, I just don't want to single you out. I didn't even plan to say this, but bear an African name. I'm sure you have an African name, maybe as a middle name. Bear that name instead. If you look at the most successful people that have come out of Africa, even in the West, they've stuck to their African names. They've stuck to their African names. Look at the Director General of the World Trade Organization, and she's my friend, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You couldn't get more African than that. If you look at one of the most successful writers right now of African origin, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. If you look at Ngugi wa Thiong, oh, who's from your country? They stuck to their African names. So stick to your African names. Right now, the highest level African in the US government is a guy called Wale Adeyemo. And then even look, I'll give you a very good example. In the United Kingdom, their prime minister is a guy called Rishi Sunak rather, and he's a Hindu. He didn't change his name and then fortify it and call it Rishi Sunk or something like that. No, he kept his original name. Let's try to do that with our names. Now, going to your question, you want to know what is the most profitable business that an African can do in Africa. Okay, well, here's the thing. I know a lot of you are going to be expecting me to come up with like a paper business, an investment, a blue chip portfolio, something involving tech. But you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. If you are African, the best business that you can do, and this is a business that any African can do, and it's really, really democratized. It's really, really democratized. It's agriculture. Agriculture is the easiest business to do, and one of the business, if not the number one business that will bring you the highest compound annual growth rate in Africa. You got to realize that right now Africa is spending, this is the year 2022. Now we're in the year 2023, but we only have figures for the year 2022. So maybe by about November or December, we're going to be start seeing figures for the year 2023, which we are in. But for the year 2022, Africa spent $50 billion importing food. $50 billion importing food. So we know that there is a market for food in Africa for agriculture. There's a market. And then we are told by the World Food Program that by 2030, that figure is going to rise to $110 billion. $110 billion. Now, here's the issue. Africa has 60% of the arable land of the world. So all of the arable land on earth, 60% of that is in Africa. Now, you don't have to take my word for it now. As I've just said this, you can Google it, you can research it. Now, how can we have 60% of the world's arable land and we're still importing food? It doesn't speak well of us. And there's a market. There's a market. What a lot of people do not know, and maybe I know this because I'm well traveled in Africa. I've been to every part of Africa. There's no part of Africa I haven't been to. But in Africa, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, most of the land belongs to the state. Belongs to the state. And if you look at the Land Use Act of Nigeria, which is domiciled in the 1999 Constitution as amended in Nigeria, if you look at the Kenyan Land Use and Planning Act of 2019, if you look at that, the Kenyan Land Use and Planning Act of 2019, and if you look at the Tanzanian Land Act of 1999, you see that basically wherever you are in Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, and I just had to mention Kenya because why if you're from Ghana, sorry, you're from Kenya, you can actually write to the government You actually, if you're in Kenya, I think for your own law, you got to write to the governor of your province. You can actually write to the government and then ask them to give you land for free for planning, for farming. Now, you're not going to own this land. The land is just going to be given to you for farming purposes, but it's going to be owned by the state. You can actually do that. You don't even have to pay any amount or anything. I think there's some very, very little amount you got to pay in Kenya. It's really negligible. And they're going to give you land to farm. Do you know if you farm in Africa, if you farm in Kenya, your country, Tanzania, Nigeria, Ghana, if you farm corn, if you farm rice, if you farm millet, if you farm sorghum, if you farm yam, if you farm potatoes, carrots, anything, vegetables, there is a ready market. In fact, the market is undersaturated. So there is a very, very, very high deficit for food in Africa. You will always get a high profit margin. And then it's not just that, you can actually also use the land for poultry. You can use the land for, a lot of people watching me right now are going to say, okay, where am I going to find the money from? No, no, no. The land is going to be given to you for free. Right to your state governor if you're in Nigeria, your province governor if you're in Kenya, or you write to the Minister of Agriculture if you're in Kenya, if you're in Tanzania. They're going to give you land for free. A lot of you're watching with mobile phones, smartphones, with iPhones. With less than half of that money that you used to buy that phone, you can actually get seeds or seedlings and then farm. And in a year, you're going to multiply your money by a factor of about 8. If you just buy like maybe 4 goats, 3 female, 1 male, in a year, you're going to have not just 4 goats, you're going to have about maybe 20 goats. In a year, you're going to have about 20 goats. And then in the next year, it's just going to, because you're going to have geometric progression, you're going to go from 20 goats to about something like maybe 75 goats. And then it keeps on growing. And there is a ready market. There's a ready market. What you're going to do, maybe you get a piece of land from the government, which is not yours, you're just having it from the government in a sense, the government's agri program, and then you just fence it. You get it, because I was in Kenya and Tanzania, and I know that you have a lot of, they call them, I'm trying to look at the word that they call them Maasai. And then these Maasai people, you can pay them very, very little amount of money to be guards. So just put them there in your farm to guard your farm, and then you pay them, and then you maybe like Christmas, Easter, New Year, all the festivities, you get your product, whether it's livestock or whether it's agri product, to the farm. And nowadays it's not so hard. You can just hire a pickup and then take them to the farm, or sorry, to the market. Because I've been to all these countries. I know Kenya so well. I know Tanzania so well. I've gone around Tanzania. I've gone around Kenya. I've gone around Nigeria. I've been to Ghana. I've been to, Mozambique, South Africa, you name it. You can actually, in Nigeria right now, there's actually crowdfunding apps where you can actually get money to farm. There's one, it's called Farm Crowdy. Farm Crowdy. The website is going to come up on screen. Farm Crowdy. They will actually give you money if you have a business plan, and you can use Chat GPT to get a business plan. Market analysis, feasibility studies, permits, everything you're going to need. Chat GPT can get that for you. And then you provide it, upload it to them, and then you get funding. So in answer to your question, Wycliffe, I'm telling you, farming, agriculture is going to be in fact, not already going to be, it's already the most profitable business in Africa. And especially when you have the ACFTA, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, whereby there's free movement, there's going to be a free, no export restrictions or import restrictions within Africa. So it really helps you a lot. Now, I know this is a mouthful, but if you've watched this and you have questions arising from this, put them in the comment section of this video. My staff are going to bring them to me, and I'll do my best to respond to each and every category. But you got to remember, I do not have a WhatsApp forum, a Telegram channel, or a Gmail email address. So scammers can say, oh, sorry, I got to pick this up if you can down. So scammers have seen that my videos tend to go viral, and they've created a number of fake YouTube profiles. So don't get scammed. I don't approach you in the comment section of my videos asking for money. Now this one, I'm up with the Apostle of Prosperity saying, God bless you.
But Reno travels all around the world. I hope you get inspired about what you see. Apostle of greatness, Reno is a master. Only one man against the whole world in large. Fighting with the monsters, poverty I can't stand. That's why Reno is